This is a very special harbor. There's no question about it. This is the most biologically diverse harbor in the whole world.
There's over 500 species of fish here. Is that going to be that way for long if we don't look after the harbour?
We don't know enough about these waterways, and we know they're changing.
And to be studying them in such a fantastic harbour, and could it be any more rewarding and possibly any easier to have access to them?
This is where modern marine science is supposed to be.
This is one of the best marine aquariums I've had the opportunity to work at.
It's easy to look after, low maintenance, and the fish love it.
Where else would you locate a marine research facility but a very special place called Chowder Bay? That was the nickname sailors gave this beautiful part of Sydney Harbour because of the tasty variety of seafood caught straight from their barracks. From 1891, the Submarine Mining Corps were based here. Their job was to protect the harbour from enemy subs. Now scientists from the Sydney Institute of Marine Science, or as it's known, SIMS, will be working to protect the underwater environment for generations to come.
If you don't understand the harbour, it is not going to be looked after. In other words, you've really got to do the work that says we've got a pollutant here, it's coming in, and many new pollutants occur every year, and we only test about 10% of them. There's a new pollutant, it's doing damage. What's its source? Stop it.
Chowder Bay has somehow escaped Sydney's urbanisation and development. It's still home to spectacular temperate marine species such as seahorses and anglerfish, and some that haven't even been named.
And you think after 200 to 300 years we'd know the fish that were in this harbor, but clearly there's still surprises down there. There's even rumors that there's a gigantic sea anemone capable of swallowing submarines down on the bottom. It is so big. But the fact that it's so big is a very important measure of the health of this part of the harbor.
Everybody involved with the place has an interest, has a passion for it, and want to see it succeed.
Chowder Bay is very close to Sydney Heads and the Tasman Sea. The remarkably clean water is pumped and filtered by state-of-the-art equipment that provides running seawater to the research aquaria. Currently, over 40 senior marine scientists and their students are working on projects that will have immediate and long-term impacts on the Sydney marine environment.
Sydney Harbour itself is an incredible biological treasure trove, overtopped by a lot of human activities, and thereby hangs a lot of interesting science.
Professor David Booth is an expert on tropical fish, many of which visit Chowder Bay and could be early indicators of global warming.
Last winter was particularly warm and a number of these fish survived, and so we're developing all these links between global warming, the East Australian current and the arrival and departure of these little fish. These are little indicators of the biological transport of warm water from the north, which we know this area is going to be a real hotspot for global climate change.
I'm looking at cuttlefish, particularly in Sydney Harbour. I want to investigate their social behaviour.
Candice McBride is a PhD student from Macquarie University and says SIMS provides a unique research opportunity.
And we just haven't really done much work on cuttlefish at all in Australia. It's great collaboration here at SIMS because we've got a number of different universities working here, so not only are you meeting scientists from other prominent universities, you can also ask them for advice.
Alex Pershey is a PhD student at the Uni of New South Wales, looking at the life cycle of one of the local prized sport fish, the mulloway, or jewfish as it's commonly known because of its ear stones which resemble jewels.
What we're doing in here is looking at the bioenergetics of mulloway. The stock enhancement program in New South Wales has been going on for 10 years now, where we propagate and release fish into estuaries along the east coast of New South Wales.
Matt Taylor, a marine biologist from the Uni of New South Wales, wants to track a much smaller but vital creature in the marine food chain.
We're holding some larger prawns here as we intend to put these acoustic transmitters on them so we can follow their movements and work out just how much they are moving around. Well, the most difficult part of the process is working out how to attach a transmitter like that to the back of the prawn. The ones we're using are about half the size of that, but we've still got to work out a way to glue it on and have it stay there for at least 3 days.
With such a tasty subject, Matt faces one other unanticipated problem.
Well, I've had 3 go missing since I moved in here. I don't know where they've gone, but I'm almost tempted to do cholesterol checks on the other staff members here to see who's been chowing down.
Clearing the way for the researchers to do this vital work is the SIMS board. SIMS is a non-profit public company and has been established by 4 of Australia's leading universities: Macquarie, the University of New South Wales, the University of Technology, Sydney, and the University of Sydney.
I thought that if you put 4 universities together, they would be warring and quarrelling and struggling. They're all competing with each other. It didn't work that way. They got interested in what we were doing and they worked like a team.
The Board of Directors meets regularly and is headed by Chair Professor Frank Talbot. A former director of the Australian Museum and the prestigious Smithsonian Institute's Museum of Natural History in the USA, Professor Talbot is an authority on marine fish and coral reefs. Others on the board include well-known paleontologist Professor Michael Archer, also a former director of the Australian Museum and now Dean of Science at the University of New South Wales. He believes SIMS will prove vital in protecting Sydney Harbour from destructive marine invaders.
At some point, you have to put a line in the sand and say, well, we're going to take stock of what's in the harbour now, and from now on, we're going to monitor it. And if we suddenly see a change, something new comes in, we'll recognise that fact and then decide how we can best take action.
SIMS isn't just about Sydney Harbour and its neighbouring waterways. The research could shed new light on the impact of global warming.
I'm kind of interested to see how far the saltwater crocodile shifts south. At the moment, it's just in sort of southeastern Queensland is its limit. But like many organisms, it's going to be moving south. Mangroves will become more of a significant factor down here.
SIMS is one of the hosts of a new national project, the Integrated Marine Observing System, or IMOS, that is measuring changes in the oceans around Australia. The dominant eastern Australian current affects all life along our coasts and in our estuaries.
Most importantly, I guess, is to have 6 moorings off the New South Wales coast. We'll have a pair of them off Coffs Harbour, a pair off Sydney, and a pair off Jervis Bay. And it's to look at the changing rate of the East Australian current as it's speeding up due to global warming. It gives us a 3-dimensional picture of the ocean, and just at your fingertips you can log in, if you're a fisherman, sailor or a scientist, and see what is the temperature, what's the current, and what are the conditions out there.
SIMS scientists will also place a series of acoustic receivers across the shelf to monitor individual animals such as sharks and other fish over distances from hundreds of metres to hundreds of kilometres.
We've got a very interesting mix of tropical ocean stuff coming down from the Great Barrier Reef, and we've got these intrusions of cold water coming up from Tasmania, and we've got this lovely mix of species which makes it so interesting and so diverse.
You can help with this vital research.
We've had enormous support from the public. The harbour is so important to everybody in Sydney. And whether they just look at it, whether they sail on it, whether they swim in it, whatever, you ask people and say, do you want to keep this beautiful and clean and understand it, which is necessary? And the response is almost invariably good.
To further improve the facilities scientists need to conduct this important work, SIMS needs public and private funding.
Hell yes. I mean, we need money so badly. We need probably another $1 million for a good molecular lab. We've managed to build a chemistry lab pretty close to completion. And the aquarium is well underway, but it's still only a quarter of what it should be.
There are many ways to get involved, and all donations are tax deductible. Check out our website for more details at www.sims.org.au. As we continue to learn more about our unique marine environments, scientific research at Chowder Bay holds the key. Supporting SIMS is supporting our marine ecosystems.